thing keeps moving over.
All right, if you got a question, raise your hand. We'll get this going.
John, a special moment. Can you walk us through your emotions as you're watching Alejandro Kirk steal a base?
You know what's funny? Bud and I were talking about that today, that there's been a handful of opportunities over the course of his major league career to get one. And I thought it was great. You know, infield's playing in, they're not going to throw. He was moving, man. And I think for Vlad to give him the base was awesome. The fact that he was holding it on the field post-game is even better. I think they're authenticating it. And this should go down in Major League history.
He even, like, after the single, he had, like, a fist pump, which is pretty big for him. Are you seeing more of that come out into these moments like this and him really embracing it?
Yeah, I think so. We've seen it, you know, kind of throughout the year with him. And it's nice when you see it because he's so mild-mannered and he doesn't say much, you know. So when he does something like that, it kind of means a little bit more. And he's been going through it a little bit. He's been grinding. I thought his first at bat, you know, good swing that way. Then he hits the homer that way, and kind of, you know, that's a really, really good at bat there in the eighth. Yeah, when he's doing that, we're pretty good. You know, it makes our lineup pretty deep, and it's nice to see him kind of get recognized by the fans, and really nice to see the emotion out of him.
John, I was just rereading your comments from before you started the series with Texas the last time, end of May. You're coming off the sweep in Tampa. You talked about that being a big series, needing to revisit some things offensively. How did maybe what you guys did and accomplished in that series springboard you to the type of baseball you're playing right now?
Yeah, I think that kind of did when you look back at that part of the year. And we've been playing really well and really functioning well as an offense since then. So it takes time. I mean, it's a perfect example of everyone kind of doing their part, you know. Schneider with a pinch hit and, you know, just taking walks when you should take walks and having good at-bats up and down and putting the ball in play. So you know, I think we talked about it earlier where sometimes there's a turning point in a year. And I think Bo's home run there kind of got us going. And then from there, guys are just doing their part. You know, it's really fun to watch them, you know, to be down by one and then you know, Marcus hits the homer. There's zero quit in these guys. You know what I mean? There's absolutely zero quit. And they kind of look forward to the challenge at this point. You know, it's fun to be a part of. It's fun to watch them operate. And, you know, it's a really, really good atmosphere here.
I know Shai yesterday was talking about kind of like the ingredients of October baseball being in yesterday's game. It kind of felt similar today. The crowd was like pretty tense at the end there. What is that tension like at the field level?
It's loud, man. You know, it's loud here, and it's definitely an advantage playing here. It seems like it gets louder every night. So, I mean, I think the intensity level is you feel it, you know, and it's hard for players to slow it down. You know, you saw Varsh slow it down. You saw Vlad slow it down after he chased 3-1. And Kirky's just like that. I think that's what makes him really good. It's just he's the same in any kind of moment. So, yeah, that's a tense game, you know. And for Hoff to come in and do that, you know, awesome. But it's kind of a little bit of everything. Even going back to the beginning of the game with Nate making the play, throwing the runner out off the wall, like everything matters. They kind of get that, you know. So I think that kind of drives them too as the game goes on. They're not afraid for a challenge that may come later in the game.
We've kind of been talking about that scratch and claw, all the comebacks since the beginning of the year. Do you feel like the team's gotten better at that, or is that something they've had since day one?
I think the more you do it, the more comfortable you are when you're in that situation. You know, it's not luck. You know what I mean? It's hard to do. You know, but I think that like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So, you know, Hemi left on left, Schneider with the hit, Bo's at bat was tremendous, and you know, kind of just on down the line. So once it kind of gets going a little bit, it gets a little bit contagious.
John, after 5 innings, did you feel bullpen to bullpen that you were still in the game, that you had an advantage there?
Yeah, you feel good about the guys in our pen for sure, you know. And again, I think they just kind of did their thing between Fish, Yari, Flew, you know, a little hiccup walking Carter, I believe, and I think if Louis and Kirky could do it over again, they'd probably just throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball down on their way to Marcus. But yeah, I think we feel comfortable. There's multiple options. There's guys that can do different things. So getting DeGrom out, DeGrom was fantastic. You know, I think him coming out was a little bit of a breath of fresh air, third time through the order. And the fact that we've done that before, I think we feel like we can do that.
On the lens of what you were saying before, is it possible that the focus kind of collectively builds as well? Not that it wasn't there early in the season, but is it possible that it almost builds and builds as these games kind of continue?
Players probably can answer that better than me, you know. I feel like the focus is always there with this group, you know, and I just think the more you do it and then, you know, someone kind of flips the first domino down, guys kind of feel like, okay, it's my turn to do something to help us win, you know. It's a special group, man. You know, I can't speak highly enough about them and how they go about it. But, yeah, I don't know if it's, okay, it's time for a comeback now. You know, it's not how you draw it up every night. But I do think that because they've been in so many of those situations, they're comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you,
Cool.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right, if you got a question, raise your hand. I'll get you the mic.
John, that day from Miles Straw is a different way of contributing than we normally see, I guess. But what was your impression of what he gave you?
Career day, you know. Yeah, didn't think he, you know, when you're starting the day, you don't really think of Miles going deep twice, but he took two really, you know, he had an awesome day, but those swings were impressive. He's made some strides offensively. You know, he's worked really hard with Pop and Lou and Hunter, and obviously kind of a career day for him.
When you think back to like the trade that brought him here, spring training, off the 40-man and stuff like that, how do you think he's handled this entire year, big picture?
He's been outstanding. You know, I remember in spring training we kind of had him in Group B with some of the younger guys that were in camp and handled that well. And then just kind of did his thing. You know, he's really tight. You know, he's a pretty integral part of the clubhouse. He's kind of tight with everybody. Understands the role that we're asking him to play, and he's playing it really well. So, for you know some noise around the acquisition, you know he's a baseball player. He's a winning baseball player, and he's done his fair share of helping us win in some big spots this year.
John, with Miles, did you see the bat flip, and any thoughts on it?
I didn't. No, I didn't see it till after, but he probably needs a little practice.
And what do you think of Lauer today?
Grinded, you know, long first inning, and then he made some big pitches. Schneider picked him up there later. I think that was in the fifth with the diving catch. But he was almost trying to be too fine. I think, you know, trying to have almost too much of a pitch mix. And after the third inning, Pete kind of sat him down and said, "You got to be more aggressive and stay on the attack with your fastball." And he did that, and we were trying to get him through six, you know, just didn't want to get the pitch count crazy. And, of course, it's like an 8 or 9 pitch at bat to lead off the inning. But I thought that he got better as the day went on and just pitched really well.
You just kind of answered what I was about to ask about that sixth inning. Did you want to get him to 100 or so pitches?
Yeah. I feel like going back out there, you know, to get, you know, 6 ups, and it's an opportunity to stretch him out a little bit, you know, without going crazy. So yeah, I wanted him to kind of feel that a little bit, and you know, I think he was a little tired. We were talking too. It's a long in between innings too. It's a long inning, pitching change, trainer, manager, all that kind of stuff. So he was probably a little bit out of rhythm too, but definitely wanted to try to, you know, get him as much as he could.
And is that also sort of a show, not that you need to show confidence in him, but when you talk about how he was trying to mix it up a little too much over the first 3 innings, whether you're having those conversations or they're having them, people are talking about, hey, there's another starter coming. So is that sort of to help boost him in knowing that he's relatively secure even when somebody else comes?
Yeah, I mean, I would do that for any one of our starters in a situation like that. You know, every day is just kind of situationally dependent, you know, but have no problem pushing these guys when you feel like you can.
In terms of, especially in that particular inning where Schneider actually made that diving catch, can you speak about the evolution of him playing left field and the amazing catches that he's made the last couple of days?
Yeah, man, he's worked so hard at it, you know, over the years with Bud. He's kind of turned into a pretty damn good outfielder and kind of knows what he's good at, knows what he needs to work on. And, you know, thinking back a couple of years ago, you kind of throw him out there and get him out after his at-bats in the 7th inning and hope he catches the routine ball. But now you feel comfortable with him in left. You feel comfortable with him at second. You know, he's grown up a lot this year, I think. We've been talking about it as a staff kind of just recently, you know, gets sent down, comes back. And I think that being around a veteran group of players has been really beneficial for him, and he's really kind of finding his own.
And last question. Any comments in terms of like the last inning with the Rowdy and Hatterman hitting the first hitter?
Oh, no. I didn't know Rowdy could throw that many strikes. You know, that was pretty good. You know, you never really kind of want to see that situation. This is the first time I pitched a position player when you're winning. It's awkward. You know, you don't want to embarrass the integrity of the game. I think both sides handled it well. And, you know, it's not easy to do that, you know. I thought it was cool that Heineman had Max's glove on and had his windup going until he hit Carter. But you got to have a little bit of fun with it, too.
With all that went on offensively, Springer came back, and obviously that was a big thing with the fans. What did you see in his return? Yeah,
it was really cool to hear the fans his first at bat, and it's just a good feeling having him back. You know, just his presence, just his ability, his personality. You know what I mean? It's nice to have him back, feeling himself, and just, you know, hauling ass down the line. You know, it's just kind of who he is, and he sets a tone for us. So cool, the fans recognized him, and you know, just happy to have him back.
Thank you,
Cool.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.